Welcome to the Wildcast podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome into Wildcast Studios for another episode of Wildcast Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats, presented by Alpha's Appliance Solutions. Right now, they got the Kitchen Suite Savings Event. Buy any two Maytagger Kitchen Appliances, save 15%. Buy any $200. Buy any three, save $300. As always, I am your host, Adam. And I am joined by your favorite co-hoster, and when I read my notes, confirmed Swiftie, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. The Grammys last night, the new album's dropping.
That's
I
right.
guess just couldn't have been a better Sunday for you, eh?
Look, man, it's a good time. It's a very, very good time. I was not expecting a Taylor Swift album surprise announcement at the Grammys. So I couldn't be more ecstatic. April 19th, it's gonna come quick, and if I were to tease what I plan on doing for that following episode, well, I'm gonna try to obviously listen to the album, get some lyrics into the show, and see if people pick up on it.
Which you've been successful in doing before.
I have, and nobody's realized a damn thing.
No,
so we're looking forward to it. First four-time winner of album of the year.
It's so like I was watching some of the stuff on social media, and she just like pretends to be so shocked. It's like, come on, you know you're gonna win everything. Enough of like, if she won Rap Album of the Year, yeah, you can be surprised you won Rap Album of the Year. But
I would listen to a Taylor Swift rap album.
I know you would. It's like, is there anything she literally can't do? Like, I get the whole humble thing, but it was funny how her boyfriend doesn't support her at the Grammys. Pretty selfish.
He wasn't allowed to go.
One-way relationship. Oh well, if it
wasn't allowed to go.
If it was true love, he'd have been there.
Oh, well, it's
quick flight from LA to Las Vegas. It's a 3-hour drive, Kelsey. 3 hours. As obviously they arrived Sunday afternoon or whatever for the Super Bowl. I finally got to see the end of Hell's Kitchen. I wish you would have just spoiled it for me by the end of Hell's Kitchen. Ryan was the winner. You did pick it. Not that I'm upset that Ryan won it. I mean, either guy could have won it, but after you saying one door did open, I was a little sad that both didn't, or that Chef Ramsay didn't when he brought them together, or Ryan was like, I want you to be my executive chef, or Chef Ramsay to be like, it was so close, blah, 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 you're going to be working at this restaurant, but
as a dishwasher.
Yeah. Yeah, you came so close, now you got to go all the way back to the bottom and start again, but it could have gone either way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was one of those seasons, like I said last week, it was super unpredictable. You couldn't have picked a winner. It was just way too close. I don't know how Chef Ramsay picked a winner. Must have been going by height. Pretty much. Yeah.
Coin flip. There's no other way to do it. So that's done now. I think we get a bit of a Hell's Kitchen break, and then it goes to MasterChef. Correct?
Yeah, I actually started watching the Next Level one.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. Yeah. I actually recognize a bunch of them from TikTok. The social media chefs. Yeah. The big guy, the red hair. I forget what his name is, but
the big guy that was a WWE superstar.
Maida.
Yeah.
Not him, but the first episode when it was the social media stars.
Yeah.
There was a big guy.
Oh, like a tall, bigger guy.
Big, tall, guy with like red hair.
Yeah.
I follow him on TikTok, so I recognized him. I was like, "Holy crap, you're on Next Level Chef! Cool."
What was funny is the big jacked up dude. It's like, I was a WWE superstar, blah, blah, blah. And I went and
You were on Tough Enough.
You were on Tough Enough, and you made it to, like, the top 7. Like, I was like, that's not a WWE superstar. You were on another reality TV show. But, yeah, no, it's a pretty cool show. And it's funny. I said to Leia, I was like, is it really the bottom? Like, are you really using terrible tools, or are they good tools made to look like terrible tools, and they're actually pretty good? And then they bring out the Bunsen burner. I'm like, oh no, okay, maybe you are working with some crap. So we got some time in between those shows, so I thought we'll do a little bit something different because we kind of teased if the Wildcats didn't win, we were going to take a break, and I said to you, well, we'll do a social show where we just talk about random stuff, and then the team won. So but I saw this on TikTok, And I've seen a lot of the Pick 5 movies and
Right,
Pick
yeah.
5 rom-coms, and everyone I've seen, not many have picked The Notebook. Greatest love story ever. So I saw this thing on TikTok, and it said, keep 5, trade 5, and pretty easy to figure out which 5 you'd take and whatever. So I made it a little bit different. I'm going to list the movies, and then you're going to pick 3 of these 10, and the rest disappear from history. So you don't get to watch them anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got Easy A,
Okay.
Scott Pilgrim Saves the World,
Okay.
Ted, Hangover 2, Grown Ups, The End, Horrible Bosses, Bridesmaid, 21 Jump Street, The Other Guys. Now, these are all 2004 movies, so they're kind of from 20 years ago. So, in case you forget, I've got them there for you.
So I can take 3.
You take 3 and the rest disappear from...
And I never get to watch the others. Okay,
Yeah.
so Ted, obviously, 1.
Yeah, that's my one. Hangover 2, out.
Yeah, Other Guys. I'm a big Other Guys fan.
Yeah.
And you know what? Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I'm going to go Ted, Bridesmaid, and Horrible Bosses.
Horrible Bosses is
Horrible
good.
Bosses
Yeah.
was so good. Like
Yeah.
that Charlie dude, like he
Yeah.
just and Jennifer Aniston too, stepping out of that.
Yeah. No, Bridesmaids was for from a guy's standpoint, Bridesmaids is hilarious.
Yeah, that was one of those movies where the wife or the girlfriend took you to that movie and you were like, really?
But you laugh your arse
But
off.
you laughed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you laughed it off. And 21 Jump Street was all right, but I could do without with it. Grown Ups, not one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies, and it missed Chris Farley.
Yeah.
That whole
Yep.
that group, Kevin James is only what he is because Chris Farley's no longer. Did you know he was in Shrek? He was supposed to be in Shrek.
Who?
Chris Farley.
No.
Like he filmed 90% of it
Oh, wow.
voiceover and didn't change his voice. Used his actual voice. David Spade talked about it, and then obviously tragically he passed away, so they had to recast it. But he did about 90% of it with his actual voice. Like,
Jeez.
he was supposed to be the original Shrek. So
I did not know that.
I've never seen Scott Pilgrim. So
Neither have I. Easy A, same with me.
I've seen Easy A. It's pretty funny. The End.
The End,
You've never seen it?
I don't think so.
No, it was all right. It's got the Backstreet Boys in at the end, just so you know. Hashtag spoiler alert.
Nice.
It's been 20 years. You could probably find these movies on a lot of streaming sites, but you probably have to pay for them because when movies get to be 20 years old, you got to pay $8.99 for them.
Yeah.
So stupid. So don't forget, as always, maybe we'll do some more of those. Those are kind of fun to see. Maybe tougher ones, like pick Adam Sandler movies. You got to pick 5, and the rest disappear.
Will Ferrell will be tough for me.
Will
I'm a
Ferrell
big
will be
Will
tough.
Ferrell
Yeah,
guy.
maybe we'll do that next week. We'll do Will Ferrell movies.
Yeah.
Don't forget, as always, you can like us on all our social medias: Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast, TikTok, which we've kind of got going a little bit more, Wildcast Podcast, and of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that little bell on YouTube so you are notified when our podcast post games go down, and shorts that are very popular. Yeah, not like shorts like you wear.
I have shorts that are very popular. My wife says so.
I bet you do, and I bet she does. This quick question thing is kind of taken off. We got another one from a fan of the show, not so much a fan of the Wildcats. It is Mr. Johnny Rocket. Here is his question.
Yes, sir, boys. It's Johnny Rocket. Quick question. With the all-in starting at next draft in Moncton, which current rookie or prospect in the pipeline you guys don't want to see being dealt for a big-ticket player?
Who said we're going all in next year?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's fake news.
Fake news. Nice try.
Propaganda up in
Yeah.
Bathurst.
Nice try, Rocket.
I
I think the easy answer for everyone is Sean Carrier.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Considering you paid so much to move up to get him, the last thing you'd want to do is just go and flip him. A year later, I think you and I can both sit here and say we think he's being underutilized. Is that a word? Underutilized.
He's on the Mercier development track.
And that's not
a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
But there's room for him in the top 6. And we'll get to this in a little while. But
Now we got to see if underutilized is the word.
it is. Yeah, you're right.
Underutilized?
Again, like Mercier's was fine last year. We knew he had the talent. He's up on that top line. He's making things happen. And Carrier needs that chance. So I think Carrier is the easy answer for that one.
Now I got to go back to look at the draft because I actually forget the draft.
Yeah.
Despite being there in person, I just remember we took a bunch of Maritimers and some small Quebec players. So I actually have to go back and look at it. But yeah, obviously Carrier is the obvious one. Keegan Warren's considered a rookie. Julius Sumpf is considered a rookie. It's I gotta
looking through a preseason.
Friggin' Johnny making me go back to the draft now.
It's a good thing he sent us to this on like last week where we could have prepared, but we didn't know if we were gonna have a show until 6-0. Spoiler alert.
Moncton Wildcats. Who the heck did we draft?
Denway,
Carrier, Schlender, Ben Lindsay.
I think honestly,
I'll go again.
Honestly, it's Carrier. Like you look at Eli Byerjon, and we were very high on him, getting him in the 5th round, and he was kind of going to be the next crop of rookies that we were going to have, and then all of a sudden he gets dealt for Charles Boutin, and you trade him on. I totally had the word in my head. You trade him on the prospect of what he could be. You don't know what he could be. His value's never been higher because he hasn't played. And Charles Boutin was absolutely wonderful for us last year. Now, that wasn't an all-in move. So I think for me, it's just Carrier because you're not moving Denway, and those are the two. I think anybody else, if they're part of it, you don't know what they can be, and they may never have an impact for Moncton like an all-in player would. So I think I would, as much as it's the easy answer to say Carrier, I think that is for me.
Yeah, a roster player. I think it's pretty it's obvious. It goes back to don't go and trade him away a year after you paid to move up. Yeah. In terms of the prospect that I don't want to see moved, I think it's Schlender. Because I'm already looking ahead 7 months, and I've kind of put together my roster for next season, and he's on my roster. So, but after those two guys, it's I think it's pretty wide open. You could you got to look at Halifax is losing a couple guys on D next year, and a hometown kid like Ben Lindsay might be a guy that would intrigue them, right? But at the same time, they're going to be losing some bodies up front, and Easton Schlender could be a local guy that they could be looking at. So I think there's a couple options for me. I think Schlender is just for the name, Schlender. He's got to stay, and I have him on my 4th line on my roster for next season. So I've got to go with Carrier and Schlender.
Yep. And if I had to pick another one from the draft, it'd probably be Tristan Langwell, just that big, tall defenseman that could develop. He's on a pretty good Lac St. Louis team. 6'5", 186. I mean, you can teach a lot of things. You can't teach size. So for him to, maybe not next year, but maybe the year after, kind of be an impact on a young D-core at 6'5". I mean, like I said,
right shot. You
can't teach size, and he's a right shot defenseman. So those would be probably our two. And Mr. Johnny Rocket, that is an absolutely wonderful question. I will let you know that the other question that you asked, who Bathurst should take, who's kind of nobody. They should take nobody else. Yeah. But I already told him that.
Mercy Bucktoosh, Jonathan.
Yeah. All right, now it's time for our annual question. The Super Bowl is upon us. And like I got some comments in some of our social media. Oh, 100 million people watch the Super Bowl. Yeah, people care. That's not what I was saying. Like
we don't care about you. We don't care about your opinion.
Yeah, I know people are going to watch the Super Bowl. It's not going to be like just the two fan bases are going to watch it, so I get it. But I'm more interested in the halftime show. Last year we picked Rihanna. We were both way off.
Yep. Bitch better have my money.
So this year's Super Bowl halftime show is Usher. So the first song For Usher, for you, sir, do you have it?
Well, I had a few songs.
We went back and forth for a
We
while.
did.
Yeah.
We had a good argument going on here. For me, for the longest time, I thought maybe, DJ Got Us Fallen in Love or Love in This Club.
Yeah.
That's obviously going to close the show.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, I think I'm going to go with Without You. That features David Guetta.
Yeah.
Just because it talks about games and this and that, and so I gotta go with I'll go with Without You.
Without You. Good call. I was gonna go with now I gotta go back to I think I was gonna go with I had a song the whole time I was like, I'm gonna go with this one. Usher Super Bowl halftime. I was going to go with what was it?
This is Without You.
Yeah.
It's got that vibe. It's got like.
Come here.
I can't win. I can't reign. I will never win this game without you.
Yeah, we only get 10 seconds, right?
Without you.
Although it's not playing through the speakers, so we might be able to go with it. But, yeah, I think I was gonna go with Love in This Club up until like an hour ago before we started recording, and now just like you, I'm gonna go with a collab with Will.i.am. I'm gonna go with Oh My God.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
I was just scrolling through this list on Spotify. And I was like, oh yeah, he had that one. So we
I did again. I'm gonna let that beat.
Yeah, so you're gonna go with that one. I'm gonna go with Oh My God. It's we're both probably gonna be wrong, but man, if we're right. And again, he's gonna play 8 songs. I don't think
7 or 8, 6, 7 or 8.
Yeah. The average is like 8.9 when you Google it. I think he will have some massive like crowd energizer, and then he'll bring it down to Confessions and Burn.
Mm-hmm.
Be interesting to see if he has any guests. Rihanna last year, we kind of thought she might have some. She didn't have any, so.
I think you almost have to. I mean, how can you do without Little John?
And it's in Vegas.
Yeah, and didn't they say that the airport in Vegas has ran out of parking spots for private jets?
Probably.
So there's they're expecting over 1,000 private jets, and they've ran out of parking spots. So they're actually having them fly into like a secondary airport in Vegas and then getting them escorted to the stadium.
Well, you can get a suite for a cool $2 million.
Oh, that's it.
$2 million. That's it.
Fuck me, yeah.
The only time I will ever go to a Super Bowl is if I win tickets, because I'm not paying for that. And or we talk about football a little bit every show and call ourselves media, and we go try to apply for Super Bowl media passes. That might be the only other way.
It's the what are we this? We'd have to be like there's no Wildcast. There's no Wildcats in the
not in the NFL. There is in college, but there already is a Wildcast podcast down in
Jacksonville Jaguars podcast.
All right, let's get some news and notes from around the queue.
News and notes from around the queue.
All right, well, tonight's game between Rimouski and Cape Breton was postponed because I don't think Cape Breton got out of Cape Breton or got out of Sydney.
Nope.
On time, so they probably were delayed by a day. So that game moves from Wednesday to Sunday. So again, just travel safe. Like get out of Sydney safe if you can. The big news: the draft in Moncton.
Oh yeah,
is coming to prime time. I have been asking for this. When it went live on the websites, I was like, NFL, charge, day 1, jerseys, round 1, the rest of it on Saturday. I've been asking for it. Asked the commissioner. He said, stay tuned to the schedule. And like you had said, like the schedule, when it was announced, when the actual draft was announced, it was like 2 days, which kind of can tip people off. But also it was 2 days last year in Sherbrooke because they do like commissioner's press conference and other breakfast stuff on one day, and then they do the draft. This year, Eastlink's going to be showing round 1 Friday night. RDS is going to be showing it as well. And then the rest of the draft on Saturday.
I'm excited.
We're going to be busy, but man, this is going to be awesome.
not having to wake up at 4:00 in the morning to go on the road
That's the second best part.
And, being able to just sleep in and be well rested and, go to the draft and then, go downtown and have a couple drinks and not feel freaking exhausted, because we'll be able to sleep in our own beds and everything. And I think that's the most exciting part is just, being able to walk over of the rink and not feel, I want to go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
we got to put a show together, but,
Yeah, because I'll be downtown. Everybody's gonna be downtown after the draft.
Yeah,
it's Rich, he'd probably be awake till 3:00 in the morning, but
that's his thing.
We know he likes to. He can work. He gets to work on a short night's sleep.
Yeah, and I feel like he'll be putting the work in. I think.
Yep.
Moncton may not have a first round pick, but we will be.
What do you mean?
Night one, we will have some fun.
We're stealing the show that night. Man.
We are stealing it. That is 100%. And Johnny Rocket's coming down.
That's right.
Jeremy Fraser from
Saltwire
Network's coming down. Almost said Salt Lake. I was like, that's
Drew Bear. He's going to try to get some media accreditation too.
Is he?
The Talon blog.
All right.
Going for the first overall pick.
Good. Oh yeah, because they got St. John's.
They do have St. John from the Connor Trenham trade.
Yeah. See what happens when you trade players 2-3 years in advance for that pick. It seems to work out. But now you said we don't have to be up early, and you watch this. This will be the year the Wildcats will be like, so we're gonna get you to help us out, but you got to be there at 7 a.m. and try to do all that. Done.
Put the coffee on.
Yep. Put the coffee on. But yeah, it's kind of cool that we don't have to travel.
Bailey's on ice.
Ooh. Bailey's on ice starting at 7 a.m. Could be a long day for you.
I can do it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited that it's round one and in prime time. I've been hoping and praying for this, and the fact that it's in Moncton is fan-freaking-tastic. That's probably the best actual part is we don't have to travel anywhere. QMJHL Team of the Week, Colby Huggin from Bathurst. 3 games, 5 goals, 2 assists. Milo Rollins, who can't really hold on to his stick very well. 3 games, 4 goals, 6 assists. Vincent Desjardins from Blainville. 3 games, 5 goals, 1 assist. Xavier Villeneuve from Blainville. 3 games, no goals, 5 assists. Olivier Boutin from our Wildcats. 3 games, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. And Mathis Fernandez from Shawinigan. 2-1, 0-0, 958 save percentage, a 1.01 goals against average, and 2 shutouts. And the player of the week, Milo Rollins from Bathurst with 4 goals and 6 assists. Hopefully he learns to hold on to his stick. Crafty veteran move. All right, let's...
Vet move.
Huh?
Vet move.
Yeah, vet move, 100%. And it worked, and it was as fired up as I've seen our coach in about a year and a half. Was at that play. But speaking of our team, we should probably talk about it.
Yes.
All right.
Weekly Rewind.
So they go 2-1 on the week, bringing the record to 3-3 for 62 points on the season. Good enough for third, still in conference, second in the Maritimes, just hanging in. I guess luckily that Cape Breton isn't playing because of the heater they've been on. But hey, we're staying ahead of them. Tuesday, people will say they won in overtime. They survived in overtime.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yep, They got those 2 points because Steinman had 41 saves. Mueller was good again, 2 goals. And Caleb got his first overtime goal. First overtime win for this club this season in February or the end of January.
I said it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You don't know how to play in overtime. And they, by the skin of their teeth, got out of Bathurst with a win. It's
so crazy how the schedule went. Like, had they played Bathurst earlier when it was actually scheduled, they probably run away with that game because of the way Bathurst was and we were kind of on that heater. You take it 3 weeks later and we're struggling to beat them in overtime.
Yeah. No, you're right. It was, a win is a win, some people will say, but at the same time, the effort wasn't there. They were lucky to get a win. They were lucky to get a point, if you ask, in my opinion. Yeah. They weren't there. It wasn't your typical road performance that we've seen from this team this season. It was, lackluster, and it didn't stop there. It continued into Saturday.
It sure actually did, and I think you look at the Tuesday game. You gave Bathurst 5 power plays, so that in itself, I mean, the fact that our PK has been pretty good, the fact that they still had 5 power plays, they still had an ability to put the puck in the net to tie that thing, and I think they had a power play late in overtime too. Boutin took that slashing late in the game, which we kind of survived again, but and then Saturday was just stop spotting 3-goal leads. I had to get that away from the mic so I didn't blow your ears. But, like, again, at home, the first one was on the road, but at home against a lower team in the standings, they're not ready to go on time. And I think that is the most concerning issue with this hockey club. And I said it on the live. I said it to you and their camera guy that does their YouTube stuff on the way down there. Like, at some point, the dam is going to break. And we came on here last week and said, if they're not firing them after 4 or 5 and 9 and 10 and 5 and 6 last year, they ain't doing it again this year. But, man, D-zone was a mess. D-zone turnovers. Loshing hit 4 points. I mean, that was as bad as I've seen them play at home. Yeah. Other than 11-1, and even that one, you were just like, they're not in this. Yeah,
it was dreadful. It was there was nothing clicking. You can't give up a 3-goal lead to any team in this league. And what scares me is this is a potential first-round preview.
Yeah.
And we saw it, and we set it up in the booth, Adam. With respect to Bathurst, they are a one-line team. Yeah. And as you can see on the Team of the Week, they're 2/3 of their one line completely dominated us. They've got one line, and the other 3 lines work their ass off, and they stick to the system when they play it. And it's a struggle. We, for some reason, cannot contain this one line. And it's so concerning if you think about it, because, like I said, it's very possible that we face Bathurst in the first round of the playoffs. And if you can't stop Milo Rollins, Colby Huggan, and Bobby Orr,
who wasn't even playing,
you're in trouble.
Ooh, Harry Clements got a 3-game suspension.
Harry Clements?
Yep.
Harry!
That's part of that fracas at the end of the second period.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, for swinging poor Zelensky around and just feeding them. But yeah, like, Orr wasn't even playing, and they still, like, what is this team going to look like if Orr's playing? They finally held the team to under 30 shots. It was 28. But the best part about this game, honestly, was the shit at the end of the second period. Mm-hmm. It woke them up. They scored 3 in a row after that, or 2 in a row after that, got back into the game, and I said to you, if they can get 1, maybe 2, if they can get 1 and have a good power play and kind of get some momentum, this could be an unbelievable hockey game where they come all the way back.
Yeah.
They did their best. They got within 1 twice in the third period.
And then you have the absolute worst goalie pull I have ever seen in my entire life. I yelled. I don't yell from the media booth.
Yeah.
But I yelled. I was like, what the
I had turned around. I turned around to put my laptop in my bag to get ready to go down, and what the? I was like, what just happened?
First of all, they didn't even have possession of the puck, and Keegan Warren's halfway to the bench. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Huggins got the puck, and he scored. He's got an empty net. At least get the puck into the offensive zone before even thinking of a goalie pull. And they pulled him way too early.
Yeah, it would have been like 2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah,
way too early.
Especially being down 1.
A 1-goal lead
you don't see that.
A minute 45?
Yep.
What are you thinking? That's what cost the game. Yeah. I think they had a very good chance of probably getting the equalizer with the extra man on the ice. Mm-hmm. But it was absolutely the worst goalie pull I've ever seen in my life. It was, I had a nightmare about it because I'm like, I could have easily communicated something better than that. It was god awful.
And for those that wonder how the end of the games go for us, here's how this goes. All right, who do we got? We got Sumpf and Hackett. Okay, cool. And then the end of the game. I'm not interviewing anyone. I'm done. I
held the camera.
He's like, nope, I'm done. I was like, okay, you going home? Nope, I'll hold the damn camera.
And it had nothing to do with the players.
No, it just frustration.
I was just so pissed off. I'll say it. Fuck it.
Oh, Brent's going to call you out on the F word. He called me out last week.
Yeah, I was, man. It would have been one of those character wins that we haven't had many of them.
No.
You know, and to come back from 3 down, it would have been a character win, a character comeback, and it was blown on a terrible coaching call.
And the reason I was talking about what's his buckets, Milo Rollins can't hold on to his stick is Gabe kind of just knocks his stick, which you just can't do it in a game like that. But he wasn't malicious or anything, and 20-year-old just magically can barely hold on to his stick. And like I said, it was the most animated I've seen Lacroix in a while, yelling at Rollins to hold on to his stick, and it got Gordy Dwyer off the bench, like off the back of the bench, to talk to the officials, who again was Mo LeBlanc. I think he did 3 games in a row for the Wildcats. But we talked about it when we were up with some of the other media. Like, they're coached to a structure very well, and they play it. What's Moncton's structure? Like, you'll talk about this gentleman.
What structure?
Yeah, you'll talk about this gentleman a little bit later, but he was saying they're playing a 1-2-2 and then a 2-1-2. And I said, well, how do you beat that? Puck support, 1 pass, off the half wall. And it was there earlier in the year because I had said we got these puck-moving defensemen, puck gets to the half wall, the centerman comes around, it gets out, it's gone. And those habits of, oh, shit, can't get the puck out, have creeped back in. And there's not a lot of structure to what they do. And this show was on a hiatus until they got the win. I think the players must have had a meeting together at some point. They talked about it. They said, we have to come out and get a W. We cannot not have a show. We got a long bus trip. And they came out, and Zelensky scored 30 seconds in. That could be a record.
Well,
this season for his first goal. And they never looked back.
Yeah, the sad part is about that, man.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the goal because I didn't expect him to score 30 seconds in.
Yeah.
I was literally up like doing the laundry, and I heard Marty Kingston. I'm like, what the hell?
You're like, oh, we're down 1-0 again.
Yeah.
But and it was the simplest shot. I actually thought Gabe tipped it until I thought somebody tipped it in front of the net until I saw Boutin bolt to the net to get the puck, and then I was like, oh, somebody got there first, and it was Zelensky. So, and they just didn't look back. Post game interview, guy comes out, boom, 2 goals. Julius Sumpf.
Yeah.
Some pump getting 2 goals, and it was as good as they've played all year. And yeah, it's against St. John, and they should play like that against St. John. But Keegan Warren was the story this weekend. He got put into the game against Bathurst. Which was not on Steinman. That was on the 5 guys in front of him. Nothing to do with. Sometimes you pull a goalie to energize your crew. It did that. Warren was very good. He made a couple 10-bell saves, giving the Wildcats a chance to get back in the hockey game. And then Sunday just absolutely shut the door. Got his first home shutout. And again, he's only had 1 regulation loss. You look at his record; it's 9-4. 2 of them were overtime, shootout and overtime to Charlottetown. The Sherbrooke was a regulation loss, and then I think the other one was the Bathurst one that he gets because he comes in down 5-1. So games he started, he's only actually had 1 regulation loss, and there's no goalie controversy, but he's in the situation where they can kind of trade off almost 2-1 now instead of 1 in every 4, 1 in every 5, and he was very good this weekend for us.
Yeah, can't complain. I mean, he's
not bad for a 14th round pick.
Not bad for a 14th round pick, and his numbers are really good. I mean, .915 save percentage. He's got 2 shutouts, 2.54 goals against. You can't ask for more than that from a backup goalie. I think if there's anything he needs to work on in the off seasons, maybe his rebound control. Tends to give up, some bouncers.
Which this team's defense,
not
the best.
You might want to hang on to try to hang on to those shots, and he likes to play the puck, without having to get a whistle, and
he had that a couple times.
He's a little aggressive out there, and just hope he works on that in the off season, because if he does, he's going to be a really, really solid backup, next season or starter for all we know.
There's a small potential, absolutely. Yeah. So we go on the road. We go on the road for 4 now. We got our final Quebec trip: Baie-Comeau, Chicoutimi, Drummondville, and then Valentine's Day. No love lost as they take on Cape Breton. But
well played.
Yeah, thanks. We're going to talk to our guests here in a little bit about 2 of the games against Baie-Comeau, but right now we'll kind of talk about our road trip. This team's good on the road. They've been good all year. How good, actually? Everybody loves stats. So I went the past 5 years at home and on the road. At home, they've had 1 year over 600 win percentage. I bet you can guess what year it was.
I'm struggling with that one.
Yeah. So 18-19, when they moved into the building, they were 17-12, so 574 win percentage. Wow. 19-20, they were 28-4, 875. 21-22, they were 14-14 for 500. And 22-23, they were 574, so 18-13-1. I didn't take into account the COVID years because that just doesn't count. On the road, in 18-19, they were 21-9, so they were a 676 winning percentage. 19-20, they were 22-9. 2021, they were 14-17, so they were not very good on the road, 456. And last year, they were 17-16 for 515. This year is shaping up to be just like 2018, 2019. At home, 12-8 to 500, 583 win percentage, and on the road, 16-5, so 739. This team barely plays over 500 at the road. It is a building problem. It is a fan problem.
I think analytics.
Yeah.
Start drafting guys who play better on home ice. Start drafting guys who are good hockey players, but have their better performances at home.
In a vacuum, and you're like, oh, what can we do this year? When you put the numbers up, it's been 5 years, and someone let me know that they wanted to do some redecorating inside the building, which was put some Wildcats colors up and stuff like that, and we're told no.
Yeah.
We may have concerts here every now and then. No. Are you kidding? Yeah. That's part of the problem. It just feels like a library. It doesn't feel like a home ice advantage. Once you get inside the building and you pass the little flag things, nothing. Unless you go up the stairs and go to the right to see the wall, and then you get the fans in there and they're quiet. And they're averaging 4,700.
I gotta talk about making noise. I have to recognize the group from Crandall University that was there Saturday night. They were fantastic. Imagine you put university and college students into a hockey game rink, and they make the atmosphere better. Shocking. Shocking to say the least.
I watched Northeastern and Boston University play with Cam Lund, Dylan Roquin, Moncton Legends. Northeastern ends up winning the game, so Boston University ties it late. Northeastern wins in overtime. As I'm kind of cleaning up, kind of hearing the end, the announcer goes, if it's not for the student section keeping this building going, I don't know if Northeastern comes back. Section 108, do not, that's the smallest section in the building. Don't sell that to season ticket holders or fans. That's your student section for the year. Any student groups that get it, you give them noisemakers, you give them flags. That should be in your playoff seats this year. That should be something, because those guys were unreal. They were loud the whole game. I mean, they were singing along.
They friggin' were cheering on the Zambonis.
Yeah.
The Zamboni would go by and, oh, hey!
For all the good they've done on the social medias and stuff like that, there still is a ticket issue. They had 6,100 on Sunday. They're averaging 4,400. You know what that playoff attendance is going to be?
2,500.
2,500. And
because you're going to lose your corporate.
Yep, you're going to lose your corporate. You're going to lose people that get those free tickets. You're going to lose people that don't want to pay for a 16-game package.
Yep.
And it sucks. And that's part of, like, look at the data. The team doesn't win at home because there's no home ice advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You tweeted it for us. Home ice disadvantage.
Yep.
Like, you got to try something, whether it's a student section in 108, so it's nice and loud and you give those guys noisemakers. Whether you tell your ushers just to cool it a little bit, let people make some noise. Start your 2024, 2025 season ticket sales now, where if you're a first-time ticket holder, you get the rest of the games free. You get your first round free if you put the deposit to next year.
Yeah.
Like, don't sell the whole 16 game, and I'm not going to turn this into a thing, but just throwing some ideas out there. Let people trade their tickets in. I've seen that on the boards for the first round only.
Yeah.
When you buy season tickets, home games A and B or 1 and 2 are included. Mm-hmm. Not at an extra $30 on your ticket package. Same number, tickets included. All your corporate guys, they're going to at least the first 2 home games. Mm-hmm. And if the team wins and is really good, maybe those people end up buying a couple single tickets.
Yeah.
But it's just stop trying to get people to put their money in the bank of the Wildcats.
We're just a couple guys.
Yeah. Just look around.
We got ideas.
Reach out to us at any time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't want to turn this into what they haven't done off the ice, because they've done a really good job this year of showcasing the team, and there was 6,100 on a Sunday. So yes, there was a big crowd. They're third because the average is, I mean, obviously they've had over 100,000 people, but the rink does help out with that, and they've had 4,400. And the worst part about it is it's probably going to creep up into the 4,700 range when they start kind of giving things in March, and then it'll just drop right off. And I think that's the worst part, because that's when you need the fans the most. So try some things to get fans in for the playoffs. All right, are you ready to talk to a guest that we had on last year and took us? I think we had him on at the draft too, around the draft time. But are you ready to talk to our guest?
Bring him on in.
Bring him on in. All right, let's do it.
Bring him on.
View from the other bench.
All right, well, after an all-time 7-game series in round 1 last year with 5 overtime games, it's almost criminal that these two teams are not playing till February. So we figured, since we're going to have 2 games in this month against Baie-Comeau, why not get good friend of the show and host of the Wildcast, Louis William Gagne, to chat about this, I guess, new rivalry that we kind of touched on last year. Louis, how's your night going?
Oh, it's going great. How about yours?
It's a little cold. It's a little snowy. And our team is not quite hitting their stride. So we'll talk about your team for a bit. We kind of touched on this last year about how these two teams were going to kind of mirror each other, and in what was going to be a fight down the playoffs as we get into the years past. And I mean, your team has just been something else. Just talk about the team this year.
Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, I think one of you guys said maybe last year when they met in the playoffs, Moncton and Baie-Comeau, one of you said maybe this is a prequel to the QMJHL finals in 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I don't know about you guys, but it's coming close to that from my side, from my point of view. Mm-hmm. And it's been terrific for now on this season with Baie-Comeau. But I have to be honest with you, we've seen all around Christmas maybe that it was tied for the best first 34 games by a team in QMJHL history, tied with the 2012-13 Halifax Mooseheads. But since Christmas, it's been, I will say, okay at best. For now, since Christmas, so we're speaking of 16 games, record of 11-5-0, which is still playing for 687, but it's below the standards of what we've seen in the first half of the season, especially in the way that they played those 16 games. They won 11 of those, but it was not as much as convincing as what it was in the first half of the season.
We'd gladly take an 11-6 record after the after the trade after the trade deadline. So I get you talked about the Christmas trade period. I know I was for one shocked that Olivier Charlot was shipped out for Gravel. I know there were probably a lot of people. Jeremy himself was. We were kind of in the press box when that come down, and we were both shocked that that was the trade. I guess, was it as shocking to Baie-Comeau fans and, yourself? Like, I mean, Charlotte got you quite the record that you talked about in the first half there. Just were you as shocked, and what was the feeling on the fans of shipping out Charlot with what you gave up and getting Gravel for the second half and more?
Mm-hmm. It was not shocking for for people who have been following the team for a while, and it was not shocking and I don't want to sound bad with that, but it didn't sound shocking for people who knew hockey or people who know hockey. But what I mean is the everyday fan, it might sound crazy of trading Olivier Ciarlo. And I'd say that from the beginning of the season, even training camp, I personally, and I know that a lot of other people thought that too, that the weakest link of the team was goaltending. Probably. We knew that. We knew it was goaltending, but not at the point of thinking that Ciarlo was a bad goaltender, but maybe just not the strongest part of the team. And we saw that as long as the season was going. We remembered how Ciarlo was good in the playoffs, and playoff Ciarlo of last year was the best version of him that we've seen ever. And unfortunately, I know you guys know that very well. He was not at that same level for this season. He was not bad. He was okay, good enough, but not at that same level. So we thought that maybe we're gonna get something else to help him or to push him or give him something to pick him to be better. But they decided to move him for another 19-year-old guy, move on with somebody else, which was the maybe surprising part of that trade. But the way Ciarlo was playing, it didn't throw me off guard. I was maybe not expecting it, but this wasn't a huge surprise either. And since Gravel has been in Baie-Comeau, I'd say his performances are similar to what Ciarlo was giving. So not extraordinary, not bad either. I talked about their records since Christmas. I don't think they lost any of those 5 games because of Gravel. None of them. And especially in 2 of those, the team played really bad, and Gravel was maybe the only guy who showed up. So he's not responsible for losses as much as I'm concerned. Right. But he's been not extraordinary on the other end. So he's doing his fair share of the job, but not more or not less.
I guess around here, more specifically, maybe up in Bathurst, some fans might want to know how was Donovan Arsenault doing as a member of the Baie-Comeau Jacquard?
Well, he's doing an honest work. He had an absolutely fantastic trip in Rouen and Val d'Or, where he recorded 2 consecutive hat tricks in Val-d'Or, but he was also very good against the Huskies. I guess they did not get him to produce goals or points as much as that, but they wanted to get bigger. They wanted to get older on offense, and basically this is what they got from him. And I like what he's been giving, but I knew at the beginning when I look at his stats for the first time, I think at that moment he had maybe 20 or 21 goals and he was about point per game. But when I looked at his game log, he had like 3 hat tricks, but 20 goals. So, and he's still following that same consistency in terms of goal scoring. So he doesn't score so often, but when he does, he'll get 2 or 3 goals. And right now, this is exactly what he's been given. And it's okay. I mean, they don't need him to score every night. They just need a big guy who will go to the net, who will score once in a while, who will help the other guys, his line mates, whoever he's playing with. And it's exactly what he's been giving.
So, the Boyard twins, I mean, obviously you guys drafted one, acquired one, gave up pretty much almost as much as you gave up in the Charlotte deal. Like, gave up quite a bit to kind of get them together. Just what has that experience been like for the both of them and for fans to see those guys? Is it kind of like the Sundin effect where they see each other on the ice without seeing each other on the ice? Like, what has that done for this crew, just adding to the top 6 when you already had Justin Gill? You had Justin Poirier, you had Milovsky last year. Just talk about that, those two, and what the impact they've had in Baie-Comeau.
Which players? I'm sorry, I understood Gale, and who else?
Oh, the Boyard twins. Like, has it been like a twin effect that you added them already to a already pretty decent roster? Is it kind of like the Sundins where they see each other without seeing each other?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'll start out with the brothers and end up with Gil.
Yeah.
Those were mysteries early on because, in fact, nobody knew them. Nobody ever saw him play. I know, U18 is a level, but it's not comparable to major junior hockey. Mm-hmm. And we knew that Raul was good in U18 level 2 years ago, but 1 year is a long period of time for those young guys. So maybe he was good 2 years ago in U18, but how is he going to do in major junior level? And same for his brother. We knew that the key element of that was getting Raul. But what is Jules? Is he just a throw-in, or is he a reliable player? What role can he have? We know that Raul has the potential of being a future great player in the league, but what is Jules? And from now on, they've been very, very, very good, especially Raul for a 17-year-old center playing huge minutes, winning a lot of face-offs for his age and for the opposition he has. The first game they played, the first weekend, Raul was the only natural center in the lineup. So he needed to play top minutes. He needed to play the big face-offs in late in the game. He needed to play penalty kill. And he was very good. In fact, for the first weekend of the season, they were not on the ice, either Raul or Jules. They were never on the ice for a goal against, no matter the situation. So I was very, very surprised. Also, they scored a bunch of goals and stuff like that, but they were playing very, very good on the defensive side of the ice, and they brought a lot to this team, a lot of depth. Having them, I'd say they're a little streaky. Jules is a little more streaky than Raul, but still, I mean, their adaptation to the league was natural. And about Justin Gill, I was not I don't want to say I was not a fan of him earlier this season. I just wasn't so happy about the way he played all around. He was getting points, but I was not that satisfied. But since since Christmas, at least, I think he's the team's best player. He's been dominant in some key games, especially versus the Huskies when they played 3 games in a row against them. He was absolutely dominant, and they lost a key game last Thursday to Drummondville, and I had the opportunity to talk to Gail in the following games in Quebec, and he said that um, the team, the players, they began to understand that the other teams now, like the Huskies or Drummondville or any other one, the other teams were starting to play at the same level as the Drakkar, as what the Drakkar did since the beginning of the season. So they lost some games recently, and Gill said, and the loss in Drummondville was a bad one. And Justin Gill said, we're starting to realize what's going on, that we're not alone anymore. There are some other teams who got better and they're playing good, and we have to step up. And I'm very anxious to see that.
And I guess obviously you guys experienced a bit of a loss there with Emil Chouinard being diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I guess just explain, like, obviously it's a loss, but how much of an impact would that be with on the Drakkar?
Oh, enormous. In terms of, I mean, physically, how big that guy is. Like 6'5", 215-pound defenseman. Hits everything that moves, wearing not the same colors as him. Some say, JF Gregoire says that Chouinard is the toughest D-man in the league. He's a key piece in this lineup, and also this is another thing that Justin Gill talked about in Quebec City. Chouinard has been there since 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
He built what this team is. Him, Isaac Dufour, and Felix Gagnon are the 3 guys who would fit this definition. They grew up in this organization. They lived the tougher times, and Gil said what makes him sad is that maybe he won't be there in the end. If they get to win the trophy, maybe he's not going to be there, and that's the saddest part. That's the saddest part about it. There is an expression when we say you sow seeds of a tree that you're not gonna see because it will grow for 20, 30 years. That's almost that for Emil Chouinard. He lived the tougher times, and then maybe he's not gonna get the gift at the end. And he has a huge importance in this locker room. Sometimes we say that it's not the C on the jersey that makes you a captain. Chouinard fits this definition a lot. He could be captain as much as Isaac Dufour is. So he's very, very important, both on and off the ice for the Drakkar. It's a terrible loss. Also, it's sad for him. Don't get me wrong, but it's sad also for his teammates, of course.
Mm-hmm. I guess just after this season, like, what direction do you see the Baie-Comeau going? Because if you look at the roster, they've got some pieces that could very well come back next year, and you guys could be competitive once again. But at the same time, you could possibly flip those guys and kind of start a retool. What direction would you like to see the team go starting next season?
It's the question that everyone in Baie-Comeau has been asking themselves for months. In fact, last summer, when me and friends, for example, we were looking at the lineup and saying, okay, so how's it going to be next year? How's it going to be in 2 years, in 3 years? And we used to say, okay, we'll see for the fall of 2023. But we were saying, like, okay, we think we're going to be there in the standings, but we were not expecting a so good position. And we were asking themselves, okay, what are we doing if we're first, for example? Okay, we don't have the choice. I mean, you're first. You have to go for it at some point, which is what they've done. But now, what's going to happen? I always thought, and this is my very humble and personal opinion, I think that they're going to take a step back next year and maybe in 2 years. But I also can imagine that they will still try to go for it next year. But there is one thing that could make the difference in going for it next year or in 2 years. It's the imports, because they have two 19-year-old imports right now, and imports are a gamble. You never know what can happen. You can go for, I don't know, two young 17-year-old guys and none of them works. You can go for older and none of them works, or you can go with anything can happen. And I think this will have a huge importance in what will happen next year and ultimately what will happen in 2 years. The import, because we all know that the imports have a huge importance of a team's success as much as 20-year-old players, and they will have 3 good 20-year-olds next year, no question about it. My question now is the imports. What are they gonna? What will be their strategy from the following draft? And will those 2 players work with the team? And that we don't know, and nobody ever can know that. But still, you're right. They still have elements to maybe go for it in 2 years. They have a lot of good 17-year-old player, especially 3. Raoul, the younger one, Justin Poirier, and Alexis Bernier. Those are the 3 key guys. Lucas Beckman, the goaltender, 16-year-old, which is doing a good job for a 16-year-old. So definitely the future goaltender of this organization. So we'll see. But I think if a lot of guys are coming back next season, those guys will want to continue. They will want to be a contending team next season. So I think it will also have a huge part of next season's strategy. You don't want to, let's say you have a 20-year-old Felix Gagnon who's coming back. Are you willing to tell him, okay, we're going to take a step back for next season? He will say, I don't think so. So those are the 2 elements I see: the imports next season, and how many veterans will be there in the lineup next season.
So being a Moncton show, we might as well talk about Moncton playing Baie-Comeau, and obviously after that 7-game series, and back in 2019 there was a 7-game series, and is there? Does it feel like it's a rivalry up in Baie-Comeau? I know we've been a while since we played. It's not like we went up there in October where everything was fresh. But I guess just the first of the 2 questions: does it feel to the fans like Moncton is kind of that team that has ended your season a couple years, and there's that built-in rivalry with someone that isn't in your division?
I don't feel it so much, but I think the answer for that is time between the first games between them and when the series happened. If Moncton and Baie-Comeau played in October, for example, I think definitely there would have been something.
Right.
But now, I think, a lot of things happened since then, and I don't think people forgot, but it's not as fresh in their memory as it would have been this fall, for example. So they're still talking about it, and we talked about the Wildcats, and I don't want to not be rude. That's not what I mean, but in fall we were looking at the Wildcats, and we were saying, oh, these 2 games are going to be good. But as the Wildcats are now in a step back a little bit, maybe this season they're having tougher times. We're looking at some other teams now, like Drummondville, like Rouen that we played recently 3 times in a row. So maybe we kind of forgot a little bit about them. Depending on what will happen in those 2 games,
Yeah.
maybe it's gonna change. But I, I'd say we used to talk about it, but in the last weeks or last months, not so much. But I'm sure that the players who were there last year, those guys, didn't forget, and they certainly knew already when these 2 games were this season. I'm sure about that.
And yeah, it's perfectly fine. You don't need to say, you don't mean to be rude, because for the past couple weeks, we understand the free fall we've been in, and we understand that they were kind of the 15 that could be good, but there was a 4, and Baie-Comeau and Moncton were on the outside of that looking in, and Baie-Comeau's got off to an unreal start. So the final one for me, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, Baie-Comeau hasn't been out of the first round since 2015. You went to the final in 2014. You got to the second round in 2015. It's been a while. Fortunately, schedule-wise, I know you guys don't have a lot of division games that aren't really going to matter, as you're kind of way ahead of your division. You've got a Victoriaville, you've got a Drummondville, you got a couple against Chicoutimi on the bigger ice kind of thing. There aren't quote-unquote cupcake games. What is the pressure on this group from the fan base to get out of at least that first round and make an impact as the games get closer to the end of the season?
Oh, and I think people add a lot of pressure to this situation. People are scared. It's always that thing that's funny with major junior hockey. Mm-hmm. Players are always different. They don't know what happened when they were 6 years old. They don't know that. Yeah. But coaches are different, managers are different, players are different, but fans are not different. And fans, they don't ever forget. And right now, there are some people in Baie-Comeau who are very, very comfortable, or maybe they don't have any trust issues, because they know that they're sure that maybe we'll have a semifinal at least, or I don't know, something. They know anything can happen, but right. They trust the process. But there are some people that are scared because they know that this franchise is cursed for many, many reasons that we could talk about another day. Yeah. But and they're scared, and every time something happens, they get on it and they say, it's like in 2019, or it's like they make some parallels with situations that happened 20 years ago. I've seen things like that. Mm-hmm. I've seen people saying, oh, remember what happened in 2003? We went, we got a goaltender at the trade deadline and it didn't work out. And it's 20 years ago. There is no possible relation between these two facts. Yeah. Anyways, but people still put some pressure on that, and I understand, because we've been waiting for a long time. But we have to trust the process and trust the guys we have on this team, and I believe that good things will happen.
Well, I hope for you guys good things do happen, unless we have another one of these shows in April. Then obviously we pulled our socks up and we did some good things, and then we will have a different discussion. But Mr. Gagner, first of all, thanks for joining us and giving us your time. Where can fans find you?
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Where can fans find you if they want to, as these 2 games go on? Where do people find where you're writing?
Facebook and Twitter as well. Either my personal account or Draftcast.
Perfect, man. Hopefully we'll have another chat in April. And are you coming down for the draft?
No, unfortunately, I will enjoy my summer vacations. Being a teacher, this is always tougher time, as it's at the very, very end of the year, finally, of the scholar year. I know I will enjoy my summer a little far from hockey. This is always a break I appreciate a lot.
Perfect. All right. Well, you have a good night, Louis, and we'll see you in a couple. Hopefully, we'll see you in sometime in April.
You too. See you later.
It's always good to have Louis William join us. He was great. I think we just had him on for the playoffs, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, we had him in the playoffs, and then we had him around the draft. We also had Dave Reed, I believe his name is, talking about their draft prospects and stuff like that. So it's good to get those Quebec teams and those Quebec markets. And obviously, we're not going to talk about other Quebec teams with him, but he's not wrong. If you put that series or these two games, one of them in October, maybe early November, there's a bit of history here. If the Wildcats played better in the past month, there could be something too. But he's not wrong. They're not looking at Moncton. They're looking at Drummondville. They're looking at Victoriaville. They're looking at Halifax. It's still going to be a good game, a good 2-game set. But Moncton has to come to play in that 2-game set.
No, for sure. And for some reason, I had thought Baie-Comeau was here earlier in the season. But then you said it during the interview, but that they're playing 2 times in a month. And I looked at the schedule. It's like February 29th. We have a leap year game.
Loshing's birthday.
Loshing's birthday.
He's 4 years old.
You know when the last time was the Wildcats played on a leap year? Loshing's birthday. The day he was born. February 29th, 2004 against the Lewiston Maniacs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
This last time the Wildcats played on a leap year day. February 29th.
It's because February is the best year to have a birthday in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would be so scared. Like if this was a Baie-Comeau podcast, we probably would be scared of that first round. Haven't been out of it since 2015, and you pushed all
Probably
the chips
playing
in.
Charlottetown.
Likely playing Charlottetown. Like that's for a matchup for Baie-Comeau in the Eastern Conference. That's probably as tough as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, because it's Holton hockey.
Yep.
You know?
Holton playoff hockey.
Yeah. They will wear you down, and so that's gonna once we get to predictions, it's I think we know which way we're gonna lean, but I think it might be.
Look, if there's a team that can go into Baie-Comeau and get one, especially in a 2-3-2 series.
Yeah. Oh, it's Charlottetown for sure.
Charlottetown.
Yeah, and then you're looking at 3 in Charlottetown. So, look, I don't want to get into predictions yet. That's about
lots of hockey left.
Month and a half away here, but if that could be a very intriguing first round matchup.
And it might not even be Charlottetown. Charlottetown right now is 6 points behind Chicoutimi for 7th, but Quebec is 4 points behind them. So it might not be them, but as of now, that's the playoff matchup. Yep. And if you're a Baie-Comeau fan, that's probably who you don't want to see.
I agree.
For that. So are you ready for everyone's favorite part of the show?
Yes, please.
All right.
It's getting late.
All right.
Eric Murray, Realtor. Buy a house from him. Stick Tap of the Week.
All right, so we're keeping it in the queue. I'm actually going to give this stick tap to the Quebec Ramparts. And I will explain why. So as we mentioned in that interview with Louis William Gagne, obviously they lost Emile Chouinard to Hodgkin's lymphoma. His final 2 games of the season were just this past weekend. I think Baie-Comeau was in Quebec for 2 games.
Yep.
Either Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. For his final game in Quebec, the Ramparts actually paid for or donated a suite for his family to sit in.
Oh, nice.
And obviously, and to go along with that, he was named first star of the game. So I thought that was a very classy move, classy touch by the Quebec Ramparts organization. It's probably not very well known out there. I haven't seen much of it on the social media, so I thought I'd maybe prop it up and get it out there. So there we go. Stick tap to the Ramparts de Quebec.
And it was his 200th game too.
Yeah, yeah.
Hit that.
You
milestone.
think he kind of? You think he had it in mind and wanted to get the last two? Out there.
Yep. No, that's awesome.
The Stick Tap of the Week, sponsored by Eric Murray Real Estate with the Remax Avante team. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Greater Moncton or surrounding area, make sure to check him out on social media or give him a call at 506-863-8802.
That brings us to the Wildcast Wildcat of the Week, presented by Rosemary Lynn Massage and Spa. Today is the final day for the flash sale. So if you want a shellac manicure, there it is. If you want a shellac manicure, $35. Shellac pedicure is $45 $20. I don't remember. Shellac pedicure, because I deleted it, and a new set of gel or acrylic nails is $45. Don't forget they also have a loyalty card. Book 9 spa services. Get 1 free. Take advantage of that. 506-830-1224 or book with them in person at 1224 Mountain Road. So I was pretty sure who I was giving this to, as he had a great game on Sunday after being on the podcast post game. Mm-hmm. Not something we haven't seen before. Generally, the players that get on have a decent game after. But in looking into that player, there was a player that I didn't even think of, and I haven't given an award to all year. He had goals in back-to-back games this weekend. He's got 7 points total. He was the he's on the team of the week, and he's been everything we've asked for on defense, like as advertised. The Wildcast Wildcat of the Week goes to number 3, Olivier Boutin. That will do it for this week. It's going to be a week. It's going to be a week, folks. Yeah. Before we get out of here, realistically, what do you think? 6 points on the board. Are they more likely to get 5 because they're good on the road, or 1 because they?
You know what? I'll be happy with 4.
Yeah.
If we can get 4, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think I would. They're gonna get 3. They're gonna beat Chicoutimi, and they're going to get to overtime with Baie-Comeau or Drummondville. That is my prediction, and it all stems on how they come out in Baie-Comeau. Mm-hmm. If they come out and they get blown out 9-1, just disregard what I just said. So, and I think Warren plays against Chicoutimi as well. Yeah, so that's it as well. We're going to try something new for fun. If you're not following us on TikTok, you should be. So give us a follow. And I'm going to jump on there Friday. I'm going to watch the game live. I'm going to take your questions. You can join the game. I'm not going to put the game on TikTok. You're going to have to watch it yourself. But I thought, why not try live on TikTok? See what it is like. And other than that, we are going to try and do more lives on YouTube in the playoffs. We are going to try to do more road trips in the playoffs. Yeah, it's getting to that time. It's crazy. It's like already February. There's 7 weeks left in the season.
You're going to get tracked down by the Chinese government going live on TikTok.
Oh, that's not the... So I might not be back next week, folks. It might just be Jeremy. For Jeremy, I'm Adam. See you next week, maybe.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.